Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Diablo 4's trading system is suspended indefinitely while Blizzard takes the fix, or makes the fix, I should say. They're also going to be talking about Everspace 2 as one of the games coming out, and everyone gets a better game because of the Xbox Gamepass. There's an article that we're going to read from Xbox themselves. And then we're going to talk about Embracer reports $2 billion deal that blew up was with Saudi Arabia. So these are all the news stories that we're covering today on today's show. If you like this, please make sure you hit share, like, subscribe. We do this Monday through Thursday. So if you like this, please make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can become a member as little as $5. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to... For some reason, my text or chat's not refreshing. All right. What's going on, Travis? Stealth, Boss, Jesse, Dave, Dustin, what's going on? How's everybody doing? What's going on, Hellspawn? All right, let me read what you guys are saying in chat right off the bat here. Star Wars Outlaws should be great. Rise of Ronin. We know will be a great, how do we know? Because it's a PlayStation exclusive. Rise of Ronin. I haven't seen that one. I'm going to have to look that up. That's not the last Ronin. That's Rise of Ronin, right? So that's not the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one. Yeah, okay. Not the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one. Oh, you posted in general? All right. It's crazy how bad D4 has. Screwed up like most games. Take a year to be this scummy and bad. Blizzard saw that and said, nah, we could do it in a month. I think there's been games faster than a month, Travis. I think there's been games faster than a month, right? There's been definitely other games out there that have been worse than Blizzard when it comes to that. Come on, Dave. I see Dead City 2. What happened now? What, Dead City 2? What's Dead City 2? Are you talking about Dead Island 2? Is that what you're talking about, Jesse? No, Stealth, I haven't covered the features. I said the other day in Discord. Here, let me bring up what I said in Discord the other day. Right? You guys were talking about it. What did I say? I don't remember. You know what? I don't have to. You have to look it up. Basically, what I said was I see a problem. Like, if you look at Forza Motorsports and say, well, it's not a big deal that there's split screen not coming out and AI racing. That's a major problem in my eyes because this is yet another game that's coming out for Xbox that's not finished at launch, right? So it was supposed to come out before June. It was supposed to be in that 12-month from last year up until June. And then it got pushed back silently past the June deadline and into the second half of the year, which is fine, right? I said on another podcast, I said that people are worried about Starfield. I said, I'm more worried about Forza Motorsports because we haven't heard anything about it. And now we get information that there is something wrong with Forza Motorsports. And the features that are missing, it's not like the people were asking for this stuff, right? They decided that they were going to put this in the game, and then it's not working in the game. Now, can you do a correlation of, is the split screen functionality the same problem that they're having? Are they having it with the X and S, or are they just having it with the S? And because Microsoft doesn't want to launch anything on the S that's not on the X at the exact same time, Baldur's Gate's having problems with split screen. Halo Infinite had problems with split screen, and now Forza Motorsports is having problems with split screen. So is it because of the S? I don't know. But regardless of what it is, they're the ones that wanted to put this stuff in, and now they can't. So for people to say, and I think it was either you or Dupless said that nobody uses split screen. I think it was Dupless. But I would assume a lot of people use split screen, hence why they're putting the feature into the game. I don't know. That's just my thoughts. That's my thoughts. I mean, if there wasn't enough people using split screen, why would they do it? You know what I mean? Why would they even build it into the system if no one's using split screen? but not as fast as Blizzard? Oh, I don't know. I mean, let me ask you this, Travis. On your rating of Blizzard, what did they do worse than anybody else to be more scummy? Right? Microtransactions at launch. There's been other games like that. Right? So, like, what did they do worse? That's what I'm saying, Rose. Like, for someone to say that it's not a big deal for split screen, and I forget. Let me go to, was it in the actual story itself when you guys posted it? I think it was a offshoot. It was submitted stories. How do you go back and look at like past threads? I don't know how to do that. Oh, here we go. 5 days ago, 8 days ago, 9 days ago. No, that's not it. Okay, so this is from our Discord, right? Let me bring this up. This is from our Discord. Okay, so Krebsy put out there best value in gaming. Okay, and he says yet everything releases incomplete. Just call it what it is: Gamepass effect, or incompetent consumers, or minimal viable product, right? And Dupless came out and said, to be fair, two of the modes not being at launch are split screen and spectator mode. I get that it's technically called launching incomplete without those features, but let's be real, who's using split screen and spectator, and it's not that much of an impact? And I disagree. I disagree. Okay? Stell says, I'm with you, Dupless, right? And Dupless says, I'm defending a game launching with missing features, but again, it is not that much of an impact. How many people are or were going to use it? And I said, well, looking at it this way, the company and the studio wanted to add this to the game and not the people that buy the game. So I would look at it as they failed to finish the product that they wanted to make 2 times now. Okay. Once they delayed it the second half of the year, and now launching it with those missing features is set out to be put into the game in the first place. Now, I would assume that those features are popular for a reason, hence why they're working on it to put it in the first place. So to say people who is playing split screen is kind of silly. Now, Krebsy says they announced this game with launch window in mind, that with the stipulation that would set if your game isn't ready, don't talk about it, which me and Sarge say all the time. But like Sarge said, do we blame them when it consumers or still support things like this? But I personally believe we couldn't or we wouldn't be having this issue if the Series Potato wasn't a thing. I say true, but if it is so, get used to it for the next 4 to 6 years, because the console cycle is. The S and the X are linked together indefinitely, right? They're not going to drop the S when it's the higher selling console, okay? All they have to do is release different features for the X and the S, and if it's working for the X, then release it for the X. The people that own the X paid more for it, so they should get things before the people that bought the S. That's my opinion, right? I feel that people that bought the X, we bought it because we thought we were getting the 4K. We thought we were getting up to 120 frames or 60 frames per second and whatnot, and we haven't got that, right? That is a loss. I was talking about L's yesterday, right? You have to admit that they screwed us over. You have to admit when you buy something that's bad. It's okay. It's okay to buy something that is a bad game or a bad system, right? But just admit that it is and stop defending it blindly, okay? I've never defended Xbox blindly, but as an Xbox owner, right, as a Series X owner, as a Series S owner, yes, when you bought it, the value was there. That's before now we're 3 years into the cycle, and they just keep coming out with the L's. They keep releasing games that are not finished at launch, okay, for first-party titles. There's things that are not working properly across the industry, but for the Xbox Series, right, Baldur's Gate's not coming out because it's not working with the S and the X. And I believe that this is a major L for Microsoft, because not just for Baldur's Gate 3, but if a person bought the Series X and they spent extra money and we're waiting for features that they can't be put on the S, so we're all being punished because it can't go on the S, I think Microsoft should look at their total thing and be like, yeah, let's release it for the higher end console first, and then the lower end console when we fix it. Because one, and in a business sense, this would make sense where they want people to, if people want to get in with the better features, they would buy the higher end console. But it doesn't look like Microsoft cares about that, right? And I've talked about this in the past. They just want to sell Game Pass. They don't care about selling high-end stuff with the X and lower-end stuff with the S. They want everything, their business plan of releasing stuff on the S and the X at the exact same time, I believe is worse than releasing it on the S later and then the X when they get it done. It makes no sense to me. I wish more people would do what they did for Hogwarts Legacy. The game was better on the PC, PlayStation 5, and the Xbox Series X, so they released it first on those. Then they released it on the 4 and Xbox One, and then they're releasing it on the Switch down the road. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but they are. They're like dead set on releasing stuff at the same time, and I think it's ruining it for them. Does Horizon have split screen, or is it multiplayer just online like I remember? I don't remember if Forza has split screen. I don't think it... I've never played it because we have two systems, Stealth. So I've never played split screen. I've never played split screen with my son on that, right? And a lot of games don't have split screen. So like when you play Minecraft Dungeons, there's no split screen. You're stuck on the same screen, right? Post a video of Rise of Ronin in the submit news stories thing. Okay, I'll look at it later. Where are you on the Forza ranking? Forza ranking for what, Pixel? Like Forza Motorsports? Or are you talking about Forza Horizon 5? I've never played a Motorsports one. Quintar, thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate that very much. Horizon 5. I think Forza Horizon 5 is a fantastic game. I think everything they've done with Forza Horizon 5 from launch, it came out, I don't want to say flawlessly, but the closest to flawless that you can get for a launch. The updates that they've done for Forza Horizon 5 are great. That is a perfect Game Pass game, and what I mean by that is the structure of it. If you buy it or just play it on Game Pass, the constant updates that they do for Forza Horizon 5 is a good thing. I wish they would do more games like that. They do a live service game correct with the seasons, with the updated cars that you can always get. You can earn them within the game by doing the grinding for stuff, or you could purchase it if you want to. I think Forza Horizon 5 should be praised more for what it does compared to everything else that's come out not correct, right? Sea of Thieves when it came out was bad in the content department. Now what Sea of Thieves is doing with the content they bring out and constantly updating stuff is a good regime or regiment, I guess to say. Let me see what you guys are saying. What's going on, Paul? Kylo says, I've been playing Forza everyone since Motorsports 2 on the same account. I love when the new ones drop since I'm getting returning user bonuses. It's insane how much free stuff I get. Yeah, I think they're good games. I've never played the Forza Motorsports, though. I do think it's a big L for them to not only not talk about it leading up to this, and then all of a sudden saying that we're not coming out with this, and this feature. And those might be small little features, but then again, then do not launch it until those things are ready. You see, but they don't care about that, and because it's a first-party title, it just goes on Game Pass. And this is my problem. This is my problem with Game Pass. My problem with Game Pass is the games come out and they're incomplete, and it doesn't matter, right? This is just yet another game coming out on Game Pass that it doesn't need to be complete. They'll just fix it later because you didn't pay the full price. Now, the people that pay full price, I feel like that's a problem. That's more of a problem than people playing the game on day one on Game Pass, right? But I think they make the problem and they sell the solution. The problem is that the game is going to be full price. It's going to be incomplete. And the solution is you can either wait or pay $10 for Game Pass. So you're saving $60, right? You're saving $60 and there's a whole bunch of games to play, and then you can play it later when we fix it. And that to me is why Game Pass is bad. Microsoft is, in my eyes, making Game Pass worse because they're making it look like Game Pass just settles for games. They don't care that they release games incomplete. They just put it out there. Hence Redfall, hence Sea of Thieves when it came out, hence other games, Halo Infinite, hence now Forza Motorsports. And that to me is worse. Not as a Xbox owner, as a gamer, looking at that stuff and going, why? Why are you releasing stuff that's not complete and then just putting it on Game Pass type of stuff? People kept hoping Avengers would get better, but D4, everyone I know has said, nope, I'm done, and sold it. Taking a small little picture, there's literally hundreds of thousands of people, Travis, still playing Diablo. There's companies out there that would die for as many people are playing Diablo right now. Boss says it just does. It does just settle for games. Yeah, and the problem with that, boss, is they could change that. They could change what people look at it that way, because all they have to do is say, well, we're not releasing games. Okay, we're not releasing games until they're complete. But why? Why would they? Why would they? There's only pros for them releasing the game, because one, they get the game out. Two, the microtransaction store is wide open, so people can buy stuff, no problem. Season passes, battle passes, whatever else, cosmetics. Then they can test it, because a whole bunch of people are going to play it, so they can test it and see if it's what's wrong with it, what's not wrong with it, and constantly improve it over time. And the people that are okay with it are going to either buy it straight up because they don't have Game Pass, or the people that have Game Pass are going to play it, and then if there's something wrong with it, they'll be like, I'll come back later. Doesn't really matter, right? And that's what sucks about it. Stealth says, I deleted the game. I deleted it too, Stealth. But at the same time, there's still hundreds of thousands of people playing Diablo 4. Boss says, a year or 5 from now, devs will have zero incentive to work hard, go that extra shift, or really pour their passion into it. Bonuses will be less raises. It will be less motivation to dive off the cliff. Let me bring up our first story, right? Let me bring up our first story. We'll start off with the Game Pass story, okay? So, Everspace 2. Everyone gets a better game because of Xbox Game Pass. If you guys are new in my channel, all I do is read the news, and then we have a conversation about it, right? So, Everspace 2, everyone gets a better game because Xbox Game Pass. Now, obviously, before I even read this article, Forza Motorsports is on Game Pass. Let's just take this in strides, right? Take away Everspace 2. Everyone gets a better game because Xbox Game Pass. Now, Forza Motorsports, everyone gets a better game because Xbox Game Pass. There's features missing right now from it, okay? Yet, are you getting a better game because of Game Pass? Now, let's read into the actual article, okay? Until one of the masters of the art in stellar travel, human will always have and initiate curiosity about space. We pore over fictional portraits or portrayals, okay, colonization, visualization, futures, where Earth is just one port and called the Starlit Adventures. Now, the standard view of the sequel is what will all do what the first game did, but bigger. Everspace 2 is different. He says, yes, like the first game, this is a third-person, space-based looter-shooter, but where Everspace has a roguelike, Everspace 2 is a full open-world action RPG. Now, Everspace focused on a short run through increasingly difficult trials. Everspace 2 boosts a 30-hour campaign. Everspace also has the action of Everspace 2, has more expansive mood, preserving the burst of combat, but slotting in gentler exploration, trading, and story beats. Now, games just don't make this kind of shift very often, especially when the originals had already built a lovely fan base. So why did the developer Rockfish decide to make such a drastic change? He says, ahead of the game launch, Xbox Series X and S, on August 15th, we had the opportunity to sit down with Rockfish CEO Michael Shades to discuss the studio's ambition move and how this always is part of the plan and how Game Pass helped it become a reality. Now, Shade tells us the decision to build the original Everspace as a roguelike was driven by two main factors, creative direction and resources. He says, quote, when we had the first Everspace, we actually didn't have the budget to really follow the vision that we had to make open space action RPG. Now, Shade tells us, quote, we delivered on the vision, but it was a compromise. So fortunately, the success of Everspace allowed Rockfish to craft a prototype for Everspace 2 and really lean into the open world approach, and the team had envisioned for the first game. Now, with the emphasis on exploration and roguelike elements made less sense according to Shade. He says, quote, Everspace was procedurally generated course, and you could also have to follow, and if you stick around too long in one place, the giant battleship jumps in and makes you sure that either move on or you die. Now, Shades explains, quote, in Everspace 2, you can go to other star systems, you can go back and take it to your own pace or nobody chasing you. Now, the roguelike element also made it more difficult to tell the complete story in Everspace, and your character is a clone pilot. Every time they die as part of the game's loop, there's a narrative exploration for dying. Now, in Everspace 2, there's a cohesive story between characters and unfolds as you play, and things to discover in each of the game's areas. Shade, quote, says, we started a typical space setting, and there's a few space stations, and there are also some asteroids and stuff that you would expect, Shade says. Now, then you move on to the next system, and Union, which is also a gigantic trading hub, and you immediately tell you where more is going on. Now, if you're in the system, Drake, which also brought into the Xbox game preview, you'll also see water planets, ice planets, lava planets. We wanted to make sure that whenever you see Everspace 2, you have a distinct feeling of being in a different place. Now, he goes on and says, Everspace 2 is a third-person open-world shooter that puts the control of the sleek spaceship in the selection of galactic locations to explore throughout the 30-hour campaign, and you can customize your ship, purchase, upgrade, and tweaks and capabilities to suit your playstyle. The game draws a comparison to other space simulators from the classic Windows dogfighting games, freelance modern experiences like Star Citizen. However, what sets Everspace 2 apart from the similar games is the ilk that it's its approachability. It's not devoted to choice of responsibility, but it also makes those processes for those that want to experience customability without being bogged down with complex management systems. Now, where does it go in to say, we wanted to have the feeling that intense space combat, deep exploration, but it also makes it very easy to dive in, really get you lost into the world possible. Now, Rockfish arrived in the moment prepared. Shade always had the console port in mind, so the UX was designed to accommodate controller users, whether they're playing on PC or console. Now, Shade notes that ongoing appetite for high-end, complex space sims and points out the extremely ambitious genre and features are demanding, especially for a smaller studio. Space game fans crave a bit of everything, he says, and we were trading a shipment base building explorations to name a few aspects of the spread across. Now, there are so many concentrates you have to keep in mind, especially in the technical side of things, Shade says. I don't want to say that it's impossible, but the game had a handcrafted. It takes much development time and resources to make it happen. I understand from a user point of view, that would be also great to have it all, so this is why we made a deliberate choice to focus on gameplay on what happens in the planets and in orbit. Now, Everspace 2 isn't looking like a rival on any other game out there. We might say the actual serves as a gateway into the genre, easygoing, exciting story set in sci-fi world, and might encourage players to hop into the similar game later down the line. Where is the part? Elements of Everspace 2, compromise. I want to talk... Okay, launching on Game Pass. Okay, so the success of the original Everspace plus on partnership with ID Xbox meant the game had to access more time and resources than might otherwise have been possible. Now, the Rockfish team has even able to add additional year of development plans thanks to working with Xbox and launching it on Game Pass. Now, ironically, not only is it good for Xbox and PC users, it's good for players on the platforms. Everyone gets a better game because Xbox Game Pass, Shade tells us. The extra funding helps us stay independent, and we can deliver the game when we think it's ready. Now, that's a perfect little paragraph there, right? This part right here. Ironically, not only is it good for Xbox PC users, also good for players on other platforms. Everyone gets a better game because of Xbox Game Pass. Is that true? Is that true? I'm an Xbox user, right? I play a lot of games on Game Pass. But he says the extra funding helps us stay independent and can also deliver the game when we think it's ready. Now, let's go back to that. Let's go back to the heading again. Okay. Take away Everspace 2. Okay, Forza Motorsports. Everyone gets a better game because Xbox Game Pass. They have extra funding. They have more time. They can work on the game until it's ready. Yet, we get games like Halo Infinite, wasn't ready. Sea of Thieves, wasn't ready. I don't know if Everspace 2 is going to be ready. I guess when it comes out, we'll find out, right? If anyone's playing Everspace 2, we'll find out if the game is ready. Was Motorsports 2 isn't ready. Okay, so there's a lot of things happening here where they say that Game Pass helps them. Now, let me take it from the other side, right? This is exactly what we're talking about in GXG when me and Sarge talk about Xbox and Microsoft make we used to say 250 million. We know now they make 400 million, 450 million from just the 25 million people playing, because majority of those are playing for Game Pass Ultimate PC Edition, right? So they're paying the $16 instead of the $10. So they're making way more money. Now, obviously, if you're making, give or take, because obviously they're not making pure profit of $400 million a month, but they can take that money, and we always talk about how they can just toss it at people. They can just toss that money at other studios and give them that. And that's what's intriguing, because as a game developer, when you're making a game, you want as many people to potentially play your game as possible. Okay. And if I put out an independent game, there's a chance it only sells 1,000 copies. And there's a chance that it could go like skyrocket and be like BattleBit, where it sells 3 million copies or 5 million copies or 10 million copies, whatever it is, whatever game it is, if you're in that. But as an independent developer, you want to get your money up front. That way you don't have to worry, and you can start making your next game. And this is why people say that more developers are going to go towards PlayStation to make games, because they just work better, and they do. But as a developer, if you can get paid up front for a majority of your chunk of money for your investment into your game, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go where if I spend $10 million on a game as an independent developer, okay, and I launch it on, let's just say exclusively on PlayStation, and it sells 1 million copies, 2 million copies, or if I'm an independent developer, it only sells 250,000 copies, right? We don't know if we're making our money back, right? But if I put it on Game Pass, I'm already getting my money up front, a big chunk of that money up front, so it subsidizes the stuff that I hope I'm going to sell. And again, I don't know how it works, and nobody really talks about how it works, but I'm assuming, because Phil Spencer said each deal is different in every single way, shape, and form, that if a person is an independent developer, not a AAA company, but it's still the same, but as an independent developer or AA company, you're like, we were looking to sell 500,000 copies. Okay, to make our money back, we need to sell 500,000 copies or 1 million copies. And Xbox goes, here you go, right? Here's 80% of your money back. So now you only have to sell. And if it doesn't have microtransactions or anything, they probably make their money up front. Okay, and if it does have microtransactions in the back of it, then it probably doesn't get all its money up front, because they know they're going to be making microtransaction sales on it. So if nobody plays it when it's on Game Pass, they still made their money. Where if nobody buys it on the other third-party sites, then they make very little money, and they're struggling. You see what I'm saying? Let me go to chat here, see what you guys think here, right? Because we've seen stories of Game Pass is great for independent developers. Then we see that the Game Pass is really bad for independent developers. Travis says, argue that slapping even Mike's, who's primary on Xbox, explains it's bad for the industry. He just said it's not 10 minutes ago. Oh, wait, who said what? Did I not go back too far enough? Garbage because they put unfinished games on it, but it's also because they don't need always to spending my money for nothing. Now, Dabstick says, just go back to the modern Arc. Nothing else compares. All the new games can come out are booty, and I bought so many of the play for 5 minutes, and modded Arc servers are probably the best possible. Dabstick says game experience at the moment. Travis says, wait, since does no one mean the same thing? Pixel Slap says, Travis, I disagree with the comment. Obviously, you play Game Pass. You're an expert. I mean, Pixel, you have to see what I'm talking about, right? It's not good for the industry every time a game comes out and it's missing features and incomplete and it comes to Game Pass. It devalues what they're trying to do for Game Pass. You can see that, right? Let's go on 76. 76 says this looks interesting. Probably try it out. Well, 76, right? If you have Game Pass, right, you're going to try it out. This sounds like a very interesting, good more than Starfield with this talking about Everspace 2. It looks like they completely changed their Kudapapa. It looks like they completely changed it from a roguelike to an open world team. So it'll be interesting to see what the changes bring. Waterbear says, Game Pass helps gamers like us that have kids who play a lot of games. It's good for the industry. Hell no. Right, Water, right? And I've said it before. I say that Game Pass is a great value, right? And as a gamer, I love great value, right? Anyone's lying to themselves if you're going out and buying full price games all the time. You go to GameStop and you buy the used copies of the game, right? Pre-owned, secondhand. There's a whole market on this. Okay, so for people to say that no one buys like secondhand games is just insane. The companies want to stop that, right? They want to stop that. And there's a whole industry now where they want you on their ecosystem. Microsoft and PlayStation both want you on their ecosystem. They have PlayStation Plus. They have Game Pass. They're making digital boxes with no disk drives, right? They want you in their ecosystem. So when you buy a game, there is no secondhand store, right? So Microsoft has taken it one notch above, where Sony's business model is put a game out, wait 6, 8, 12 months, then put it on PC, then put it on their streaming service, where Game Pass is day and date. We want you on our system, right? Because they know people that buy games day one are smaller than the people that buy it over the long period of time, right? You look at games and go, 5 million people buy the game in the first month, and then over the next 12 months, it goes up to like 13 million or whatnot. But the average is less and less people buying that game, okay? Then it goes to the secondhand stores, and then they buy it for $40, and secondhand, they're not making any money off that. Now, change that business model up, where now you put it on Game Pass, and if someone wants to play it day one, $10 or $16 if you're playing on PC Ultimate, right? Now, month 2, you're still paying $10, and month 3, you're still paying $10. It's always $10, right? So it's much more convenient and much more inspiring to buy that than paying $70 and going, I only played it for 10 minutes. I only played it for an hour. I only played it for whatever time. Now you're paying $10 and you can try those games out. That's a great deal. That's the great part about Game Pass. The bad part about Game Pass is games releasing that are incomplete. These are facts, right? These are facts, right? It hasn't happened just once. And we're talking about specifically Xbox first-party titles. For every one Forza Horizon 5 that came out that was great, there's 5 or 6 games of first-party titles that came out that were broke, buggy, unfinished, missing features on day one, right? Does this mean that Starfield is going to do this? No, hopefully not. Maybe this is that one game like Forza Horizon 5 and not like a Redfall, not like a Halo Infinite. Only on PlayStation at the moment, but the kids have been bugging me to get Game Pass again. Oh, you have both systems though, right? 76? You have an Xbox and you have a PlayStation? Boss says, with Sony, you're getting quality. People are in great positions in the industry with the quality of games, and I can assume that they compensate enough as they put out good quality product. And I agree 100% with that, boss, right? Look at Baldur's Gate 3. If you put a game out there that's a great game, people are going to buy it, right? Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales, and then now Spider-Man 2, right? You put a good game out there, people are going to buy it, regardless on what system it's on. You put a good game out there, people are going to buy it. A lot of people that would never buy Baldur's Gate 3, okay, that are on consoles, they had a PC, but they want to play Baldur's Gate, so they bought it on PC, right? I think it sold like 3 million or 4 million copies or something like that, right? We don't know the full sales yet, but if you make a good game, and this is what we say on the channel all the time, right? Put on a shirt, make a game, sell a game. Okay, you put a good game out there, it will sell. Game Pass is bugged as hell, doesn't work, blah blah blah. These devs are fresh out of community college, punching into a job, home to the end. Doesn't matter what happens after that, right? And I think a lot of developers are not saying it's lazy in any way, shape, or form what these guys are making. What I'm saying is because of Game Pass, games that are incomplete, and I'm not saying Everspace is incomplete. I don't know. I've never played it. Haven't heard anything of it yet. But what I'm saying is they're saying it's great for them because they get to experiment with stuff, because they get their chunk of money up front and they can stay independent. Microsoft takes the games regardless if they're finished, okay? And people can defend Game Pass and say, well, there's good games on there, and that's fine. But they still release games like Redfall. They still release games that, like Forza Motorsports, that are missing features. They still put out Halo Infinite that was missing features. Children are too young to understand the quality to them. Game is a game. It doesn't matter. Beetle dung for gold. So the sense of Game Pass is amazing. Tons of games for next to nothing. Right. And as a parent, to when I was a kid, if I wanted a game, I had to ask my mom and dad, hey, can I go rent this game? They would give me the money. I would earn the money. We'd go to Blockbuster. We'd go to Hollywood Video. We'd go to Video Extron, right? And we'd go to Albertsons. We would rent games from there to try them out. $2, $3 every single time. Now, as a dad, right, we don't have those places. There's really no places to go rent games, right? So Game Pass, as an adult with a kid that loves video games, it's a fantastic deal. If I look at it the same aspect as me when I was a kid, you know how many games I played that were just shitty, incomplete, broken, right? There's tons of games. There was literally games that they created that couldn't be beat because there was no end. They literally just put it out there because they wanted to make money. That's always been in the business, right? So going from that aspect, Game Pass is a wonderful value for parents, for kids, but it's bad for the industry when they let games, again, it's not the developer's fault for not completing their game. It's Microsoft enabling them to put their game on their service because they need people to come on the service because they're using them to make the better value overall, and they're incomplete, right? And missing features. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not hating. I'm not defending one side or the other, right? I'm looking at it as Game Pass is a great value, but Microsoft is abusing it by letting games on their service that are not complete. Or, even worse, when a game bombs, okay, Marvel's Avengers, which I played over 1,100 hours, love the game. They're like, let's put that on Game Pass, right? It starts to put that bargain bin aspect on there instead of putting quality games on Game Pass. Waterbear says, I had no interest in turn-based games, but because Baldur's Gate 3 is an amazing gaming experience, it took a chance, and I'm enjoying it. Right. Because a good game is going to float to the top. People are going to start buzzing about what a good game is. Yeah, Everspace 2 released on January 18th, 2023, and is finally in early access on Steam for a little over 2 years. The only thing I remember about Everspace 2, and I think this was the game, I remember a game company, I'm not going to name the streamer, but a game company reached out, the publisher reached out to this specific streamer, and they kind of dicked him over, and based on because he didn't like the game, and they started getting in this little back and forth, and I was just like, and that's the only thing I remember of Everspace. Never played it, never saw it. Now that it's on Game Pass, maybe we'll give it a shot. Pixel Slap says, I got a pink PlayStation 2 with 2 controllers, both pink, for £20 when Blockbuster was closing down. Nice. That's a good pickup. PlayStation 2 is probably one of the best systems ever created. It encourages half-assed products. See, I don't know if it encourages half-assed products, boss, but Microsoft, yeah, I guess, you know what? I'll take that back. It does. It does encourage half-assed products, right? Because if a game can come out incomplete and they put it on Game Pass, then other developers look like, well, we can get money from, right? Because I'm trying to put myself in if I'm an independent developer, I'm like, hey, our game can't get on other platforms, but Microsoft's looking for games to put on Game Pass. Why don't we make a game that we can get the money from Microsoft up front, and then we can make this game, and if it doesn't work out, we can just still throw it on there. I think that may be some of the outcomes of that. As a kid, renting games is awesome. Save as much money as limited time. Oh, you know what game I rented so many times? 76. I don't know if you remember this game. It was called The North versus the South. It was a Civil War game. I don't know why. I loved it. For some reason, they had this you know what? Let me bring it up so you guys know what I'm talking about. It was a Civil War game. Yeah, this is it. Oh, hold on. Let me make sure. This is the reimagined of it, right? But this was the North versus the South. I absolutely love this game. You would take over control points, and then when you get there, you would have to fight. You would have to do a fight. I rented this game so many times. So many times. Let me see if they show you an actual yeah, so you would have like a battle going on, and then whoever won took over the territory and whatnot. Don't know why, but I love this. I love this game. There was another game, I believe. If Sarge is in chat, he can tell you. I think it was called Xenophobe. I think it was called. You're not hating. You're being accurate. It's a good value for family people, but people who want quality over quantity are against it. I'm against. See, it's a double-edged sword for me, Travis. It's a double-edged sword because as a dad, I see the value, right? As a gamer, I see the value, but also as a gamer, a lover of games, I hate to see when games come out incomplete and missing features, right? Oh, did it give it the date on the console? Because Everspace 2 is releasing today on all console platforms. Yeah, and it's on Game Pass. That's why we read that article. Everspace is a roguelike, and Everspace 2 is more of an open world. Both pretty good games. I'm going to have to check it out, Quintar. I'll check it out. Why, guys? Why? I'm going to check it out. Right? It's on Game Pass. Let me see those Game Pass logos in chat. Because history is awesome. That's why. Yeah, I love the... what was it? 3-player side scroller? I think that's what it was. Was it? Is that the name of it, Sarge? I don't know if that's the name of it. Hold on. It was really, really. Was it Xenomorph? No. Nah. It was a space game. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. Man, nothing beating going back to Blockbuster as a kid. Even better with your dad, who would take the Sunset. Yeah, I would have to. My dad did this, right? If I did good on it was like a double bonus, right? So if I did good in school, if I got good grades on my report card, he would take me to this Italian restaurant we used to go to, and then I would get these raviolis or stuffed shells, and then that was like one prize because I loved ravioli and stuffed shells when I was a kid. And then after that, we would go to one of the game stores to pick out a game to rent. And I loved it. I loved it. Travis says, as someone who loves good games, this is why I bought a PlayStation 5, because they have consistent good games. Xbox has an occasional good game like Hi-Fi Rush, but it's a rare expectation. Yeah, but Travis, there are games, right? And coming from you, let me push back a little bit, right? Because you're always in our Discord and you're always talking about picking up older games, playing older games. right? So you're picking up games either that you already own and going back and playing, or you're getting them secondhand. Either you're borrowing them from someone, you're buying them secondhand. You know what I'm saying? You're looking to save a buck, right? There's no difference in what you're doing as far as borrowing a game, playing an older game, than what Game Pass is doing. You see what I'm saying? If I go to GameStop and pick up an older game, like I'm playing Transformers right now, an older game on the 360, okay? There's no difference between that and what Game Pass is doing if you're playing anything but new games, right? Sure, people love playing new games that come out, but there's majority of the population is playing older games more than newer games because newer games are expensive. They're $70 now. A lot of people are not buying brand new games when they come out. They're waiting a couple months, okay? They're waiting for it to go on sale. They're waiting for a second hand. They're looking for it on Facebook Marketplace. They're looking on whatever those other marketplaces are. They're looking to get it second hand. I think it's xenophobe. I think that's what it is, Sarge. Let me type that one in. I think that's it. Yeah, this is it. This is it. This is the game from 1988. Okay, from 1988. I used to play the crap out of this game. This was so like it was only the top half of the screen because it was split screen, right? You could have another person play with you and have a second person playing. I rented this game, this North and South, and what was the skydiving one? There was a skydiving one on the Super Nintendo, the Super NES. They made a second one. They made a second one on the N64. Those graphics were fantastic, right? Right? People are complaining about Here's what I've learned with my son, Water. He's just a kid. He's an 8-year-old. Pilot Wings. Thank you, Sarge. Right? He's just a kid that plays video games. Yeah, he kind of looks at the graphics. Like when he looks at something, he's like, you could really tell that's an older game. But when he's playing his games, right? He is not looking at it and going, look at those graphics. Look at the frames per second, right? He's just a kid playing games. And when we were kids and we played games like this, I wasn't looking at this going, oh, look at these graphics. They're so shitty. No, I was looking at it going, oh, this is great. This is great. Do you know what I mean? And now as an adult, because we went through this and we get better and better and better and better, we're so particular on the frame rates or the bugs or the glitches and stuff where this is it, right? This is it. This is probably why we went outside more. Facts. It's facts. Let me see what you guys are saying. Do you think Nintendo releases a game system with Power Xbox and PlayStation? Would Microsoft even talk about in terms of gaming? Do you think that Nintendo releases a game system with the power of an Xbox and PlayStation? I do. I think the next one is going to be not surpassing the PlayStation 5 or Xbox One. I think they just come just under the power of it because Nintendo doesn't have to do leaps and bounds because their fan base is there and they're just selling the software, right? Kylo Green says, like my GameCube collection from a childhood that still have it worth hundreds, if not thousands. Yeah, Pilot Wings was another great game. Let me look up Pilot Wings so you guys can see people now are playing Microsoft Flight Sim and stuff like that. This was it. This was the pinnacle. This was the pinnacle of games, man. Let's look at the wait. Here's the plane game. Watch out. Right? Got to come in for a landing. This was it. Fantastic. Like pole position with planes. Right? Then there was like a skydiving part. Hold on. There was a skydiving part. where you jumped out of the plane. This is the best. You would jump and fall through the hoops, and then you would have to open up your parachute and then land on the target. Right? These graphics were insane. Now there's people crying that it's too realistic. They're like, oh, it's too realistic. I can't tell. And people are like freaking out, right? Too realistic. People are crying because Call of Duty is too realistic. IGN, like 5 years ago, was crying that Call of Duty was too realistic. Meanwhile, we're playing games like this and we were happy as hell. Right? So, Papa says, I never wanted to be outside. If my parents had let me, I would have become a permanent pilot for Rebellion. Oh, no, we had to be outside. Because our parents wanted their sanity. So they're like, get outside. Right, Quest? Nintendo just summons its players. My analogy is they give you one at birth. They give you one at birth and you turn it in when you die. But yeah, as a kid, you just enjoy games. As an adult, you just can't enjoy things like you used to. Well, you can. You can. We just choose not to because we're skewed and stuff. What did Boss say? Boss says, you ever seen Fast 7? As the game Ludacris was playing in the plane before he dropped down with the parachute cars. I haven't seen 7, so I don't know what game you're talking about. Oh, this is the game? He was playing this. He was playing Pilot Wings. That's fantastic. 1942. Quintar says 1942. The old Top Gun was fun as well. Oh yeah. If you guys are new to my channel, please make sure you hit that like button down below or the subscription button. Helps us out. If you'd like to go above and beyond that. Basically, our show is just going over the news and having conversations with chat back and forth. If parents want sanity, don't have kids, well, then they wouldn't be parents. Travis, if parents want their sanity, don't have kids, then they wouldn't be parents. Twisted Logic says, I still remember how GTA 1 and 2 were, and GTA 3 launched, and I was like full 3D and blew my mind. Oh yeah, Twisted Logic. Right? I love Grand Theft Auto back in the day, top down. Like, I was like, this is amazing. You can just go around and hijack all the cars and whatnot. And then when it went to Grand Theft Auto 3 on PlayStation 2, right? I was just like, this is amazing. I remember not sleeping for days. Me and my roommates, we would just pass the controller to each other. Like, I gotta go to work. Here, keep playing. You come back and play. Like, that Gran Turismo, right? They were just awesome back in the day. Oh, a lot of people bought PlayStation 2s for that. There were so many good games back then. Well, at least at that time. Now there's different types of good games, right? All right, so let's go to the second story, right? So just to finish up, the first story was about Everspace saying that everyone gets a better game because of Xbox Game Pass. And I think that's false. I mean, we know that's false. Not everyone gets a better game. You could say you like the game, but you have to admit that games come incomplete on Game Pass, right? First-party title games, this is a third-party title game, but first-party title games from Xbox are coming out incomplete and unfinished on Game Pass. Now, what's good for the goose might not be for the gander, because if Microsoft is letting third-party games come out, they have to be complete, but yet their first-party titles don't, it's a double standard, don't you think? So let's go on to the second one, which is Diablo 4, right? Everyone's liking Diablo 4. Still hundreds of thousands of people playing the game. People might be shitting on it because it's a cool thing to do. We're just reading the news here, and we're going to have a conversation about it, right? So Diablo 4's trading system is suspended indefinitely while Blizzard tries to stop dupers exploiting it to the clone it got fortunes. Now, what I find funny here is that this is not the first time people dupe things in a looter game, right? The fact that they can't figure out, or they didn't figure out that this was going to happen, is mind-boggling to me, right? Is mind-boggling to me. Give me 1 second. I gotta refresh the chat because I can't see what you guys are saying. Boss says the economy is dead. It's too late to fix it now. According to Travis, only Water and Boss play it. Yeah. So let's read the article here. Let's read the article. Hey, nice pain shards. You got there, my friend. Want to trade them on my collection? Okay. He says, well, too bad, because Diablo 4 suspended trading indefinitely while Blizzard tries to get on the top of the players report bugged in the system that lets shallywags and rascals use to duplicate their gold and items. Now, in a post from Diablo 4's forums, a Blizzard community manager posted that the studio has suspended players trading in Diablo 4 until further notice due to the gold and item duplication exploit. There's no real clue as to when the further notice will come either, but Blizzard says it's working on a fix to amend the issues. Now, we'll just let you know once it flicked and trade the button back on. Now, we warned, though, that the corporation's watchful eye will continue to monitor the activity and to ensure a healthy playing experience for all, and players are reminded that any account that engages in gold and item duplication exploits will be actioned in accordance with the end-user agreement. Dun, 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 the end-user agreement. We've reached out to Blizzard to ask more information about the scale of duplication bug and how long the system will be unplugged until the updates is pierced here back. Now, if you're anything like me, apparently a significant number of people inhabiting the Diablo 4 subreddit, your responses to the news can be summed up by the phrase of Diablo 4 has a trading system. Apparently so. It's pretty restricted, that is, and even with the literally turned off, meaning you can't trade any of it, and your really cool stuff like legendary or unique gear, or jiggling pockets of murmuring orbles, but you can trade lower tier items and gold with other players. Now, but apparently, even that has been a problem, which is why the whole system has been knocked out, and Blizzard can figure out how to stop people using its clone to older gold and gear. Now, perhaps the duping glitch is a subsequent shutdown will function as weird kind of public awareness campaign, and more people will make use of whenever it comes back to online. But for now, we'll have to keep the manifest tokens to yourself. So here's the way I look at it, right? You're always going to have people that try to cheat the system. It's not the first time. The fact that they didn't think about this ahead of time is just kind of funny to me. And then on top of that, you see the problem where if it affects them, it's instantly try to be it fixed, shut down, fixed. But if it affects you in a good way, they shut it down fast. But if it affects you in a bad way, they take their sweet, sweet time trying to fix things, right? Don't worry. We'll give you spaces for your gems 2 seasons from now. Duping, we got to shut that shit down ASAP. Okay? Later, Pixel. The economy is so far out of whack, the dead competitive players are buying gold and going into Diablo Sanctuary Discord and buying god items for 5 billion gold. That's funny. That's funny. See what you guys are saying here. Let's see. A few times they got God gear, unbeatable in PvP. Dave Rose says they quickly shut down any kind of money exploit, but can't fix their game as fast. That's right. That's right, Dave. Right? And this is why I bring up stuff like this, right? To kind of like wake up people to like, hello, like this is what's happening, right? This is what's happening. I'm not sure if that's entirely fair. New exploits are a thing. You could have patched it, but someone came up with a new one. Way to do it. Akuda, come on, man. Every time they have a exploit that is in the favor of the player, that thing is fixed ASAP, right? Anytime there's a problem where the person has a problem with the actual game, that shit's fixed in months. 6 months, 2 seasons. If they weren't trying to undermine your playtime and make you grind so hard, people wouldn't try to do what they're doing. You see what I'm saying? Like, if they didn't make the game so freaking grindy, not saying that's wrong, just saying that it might have been thought through and someone found a new way to do it. Sure, but how are you, and I'm not saying you, but how are you a game developer and not see these things happening? Not seeing the avenues that it could happen. You literally made other games where people were doing the exact same thing. They see it and they don't care. Kylo says, gotta love it. That's any game. Look at GTA Online. Patched money glitch instantly. Yeah. But why do people do the money glitch in any game? Why do they do it in any game? Right? In old days, when you played a single player game, okay, when you played a single player game and there was a money glitch, they actually put the money glitch in the game. Up, up, down, down, whatever, right? Extra lives, extra money, But on an online game that doesn't need to be online, first off, they make it online. Then they slow down the grind so you're constantly playing the game. They slow you down so it takes longer to teleport or longer to get somewhere. They make it where you can only do certain things at a certain time. So you're being time gated. You're being time gated. And then all of a sudden, when someone figures something out, they're like, oh, hold on a second. This ruins everything that we've done. Because they built on a foundation of sand. That's exactly right, Kylo. They did it for terribly grinding system. That can't shut up about the Texas Chainsaw. It was a test or whatever he says. It's amazing. It comes out Friday. We're gonna try it out. Maybe we'll do a. No, we won't. We won't do it. Maybe I'll do it over the weekend, or maybe we'll stream it on Monday night. Maybe that's what we'll do. Akuda Papa says, how are you a CPU developer and accidentally leave an exploit in a CPU? It's more about technology moving and the new exploits being revealed. That's kind of I think about. But I also look at it and go, if you're a person that's just trying to get your product out and you're not looking at all avenues, then you're not doing it correctly. You're being pushed out because that's the goal. Push it out as fast as possible so we can get as many microtransactions as possible, right? Again, we could all like Diablo 4, the people that played it, but we all have to admit to ourselves that the game came out and it wasn't ready to come out. The game is literally 8 to 12 months early. They could have kept it in the pocket for 8 to 12 more months, and it would have been a better game. I hope you like it, boss. I'm having fun with it. You'll probably surpass me super fast in the amount of time. Travis says they did it because they said, quote, if we allow this and then say we need to shut it down, we can act like this is more important than fixing problems. True. Come on, Hero. D4 is a mess. I feel like there's some kind of problem every day. Because there is, Hero. This is why I said that they shouldn't even release this game. Dave Rose says, I was going to buy Texas Chainsaw because it was all my all-time favorite horror movie. But the game got shitty reviews. I guess if it was a horrible technical issues, so I'm going to wait. Oh, did it get bad reviews, Rose? We'll look it up after we're done with those stories. Because Friday the 13th got bad reviews, because that also came out kind of broke, but it was fun as hell. So I wonder, it's the same company that makes it, right? The same company that made Friday the 13th make it the Chainsaw Massacre one. Maybe what we'll do after our last story, because it's gonna be a short one, we'll watch a review of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So again, Diablo 4 trading system. I just find it funny, right? Like, I'm not shitting on it because I want to shit on it. I'm just reading the news. It's just another problem with Diablo 4. Just another problem. Same company, different developers. Got it. Oh, same publisher. Salty. Same publisher. I swear these developers are so dumb that making Clintus from The Simpsons look smart. Yeah, they said the crashes and bad frame rate drops is kind of boring without friends who buy it. Well, with those games, you always need friends, or you need to be you can't be an introvert, right? You have to be an extrovert to go out and make friends by playing with matchmaking people and then talk, right? I'm starting to see need a break from Diablo 4. Needs work. Yeah, it definitely needs work. It definitely needs work because my question system on the screen's not working today, so we're gonna abandon it. Kuda Papa says, I'm just being more charitable because I've been through the dev cycle before, and now it's easy to see have an exploit windows that you haven't even thought through. See, to me, the way I see it, Kuda Papa, is that someone brings it up in a meeting. Oh, what about a gold glitch? We'll get that if it happens, right? That's what I think it happens, right? It's the same thing when we're on a movie set and somebody says something. They're like, the things in the background. Oh, if someone's paying attention to that, then we have other problems, right? And then you see things like Game of Thrones, where there's a Starbucks coffee cup on set or a water bottle in medieval times type of thing, like a setting. That's the thing, right? Someone points it out or doesn't point it out, sees it, doesn't say and go, oh, it's probably not in the shot, or it's not a big deal, no one will notice type of thing. That's what I see. The same kind of thing in for video game design, where someone knows that it could possibly happen, they bring it up in a meeting, but it's not worth anything because if no one finds out about it, then it's not a problem. You see what I'm saying? Where if it does show up, then they're like, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. That's the way I see it. All reviewers say give it a year before you buy it because it needs work. See, that hurts, right? That hurts. And that's another part. Well, I know you're on PlayStation, Rose, but it's on Game Pass, right? Do you see what happens? Right? Do you see what happens? Now it goes on Game Pass. I could play it, and I can show you that I'm having a grand old time, right? I could also have it where it doesn't show any problems while I'm playing it, right? Because I played Fallout 76 for 82 hours, and it didn't have the problems that Skillup was having day one. So that's another thing, right? If it's on Game Pass, it's okay, right? Plus, as I see myself on Baldur's Gate 3 a lot more now, I've been playing it and listening to the show. It's a fantastic game, and everything that you want to do in the game, you could basically do in the game. Kylo says, I haven't touched Diablo in about a month now. With Baldur's Gate, Starfield, Forza, and other games, I think I'm all right now. I don't see myself going back for a long time. I'm not touching Diablo. I'm not going to touch Diablo 4 again, maybe until next year when we start hearing murmurs of like they fix stuff and the bags are fixed and you can use your character and what. And even then, if they fix all those things, I might come back, check it out for like a day, and then put it back down. But it's deleted from my. I enjoyed my 160 hours. I enjoyed playing through the story. I enjoyed leveling up to level 77, but I'm done. I mean, it's so simple that you don't bring out a game until it's ready. Yeah. Well, unless you can get your game out there. Now, is there microtransactions in Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I'm assuming there's like a skin pack or something. Not disagreeing. Code is just a complicated thing. It was actually known that's an issue. Maybe it wasn't. Didn't they have a duping glitch in Diablo 3? Isn't there a duping glitch in I don't know, every MMO possible? Wasn't there a duping glitch? Yeah, exactly. That's my point, right? It's not like they'd never had a duping glitch before. One of the main things I would be like is like, hey, guys, let's make sure there's no duping glitch. How could someone dupe in our game? All right, let's go over to the next story here. I don't listen to corp reviews. Neither do I. I watch a couple of different reviews, and if multiple people say the type of same thing, if it's a small time or a big time, someone I respect, I listen to what they say. I look at the reviews. I read people's reviews on other things, and then I take the sum of it and go, all right, give it a shot. But here's what Game Pass does, Salty. It doesn't matter what people say because I can just try it out for myself because I'm already paying the $10, right? There's a duping gear modification that have consistent patches in D3, and they still come back in different ways. Now they don't care because D4. Well, of course, because that's their big money maker now. Here's the thing: if the game wasn't online, right? If the game wasn't online, and it's a single player game, and you could just dupe your stuff, who does it hurt? Who does it hurt? It doesn't hurt anybody because they're not making money off a live service game. Okay? And you can play the game how you want. You know what I love? You guys ever watch it's a YouTuber. His name is Let's Game It Out. You ever see Let's Game It Out? Anybody ever watch Let's Game It Out? My son loves Let's Game It Out. We sit down and watch it. Okay? And what he does is he tries to break the games. That's what his videos are. He plays a game in a completely different way that normal people play games, and he breaks them. Okay? And that's the beautiful part about it. He plays the game in a way that he wants to play the game. Not that it's intended, and he tries to break it. He tries to make it stutter. He tries to build something so ridiculous. He plays the game how he wants. He chooses games that let him do that, right? But that's what gaming is. Once I buy the game from you, I should be able to play the game that I want. It doesn't matter if you built a whole storyline of Baldur's Gate 3, okay? If I want to go around killing everybody without even speaking to anybody or do whatever I want, I should be able to do that. You as the artist made a game, and now once I purchase it, I should be able to play the game how I want to play. But now with live service games, you have to play the game that they want you to play, okay? With live service games that PlayStation is going to be building, PlayStation, be careful now, okay? Because they're making live service games for you guys. There's going to be 12 live service games coming to PlayStation, okay? And with all the patents and stuff that they're filing for Sony, okay? I'll be surprised if your AI robot's not helping you along the game as they're playing the game for you, okay? So because it's an online game, you don't actually get to play the game. You're just there. You're a puppet in their world. Play the game, puppet. Let me tell you how to play the game. Let me make you go this way. And that's the way it is. Oh, I know you don't have Game Pass because you're on PlayStation. I don't have Game Pass, so multiple sources say that the same thing. I'm not dropping money on an unfinished game. Exactly, Rose. And that's my point, though, right? But if you're a person that's on a PC and you have Game Pass, or you're on Microsoft or Xbox and have Game Pass, it's not a big deal because you're already paying the $10 for some other game that's on the platform. And that's my problem with Game Pass. That's my problem with Game Pass. It hurts the industry. Because back in the day, if someone made a bad game, Then you wait for it to go on sale. And when it hits a certain price, you're like, you know what? 20 bucks, I'll give it a shot. 15 bucks, I'll give it a shot. 5 bucks, I'll give it a shot. But that doesn't happen anymore because there is no secondhand market. It's digital in their ecosystem, and they make you do it. All right. So let's go to just this past week. I asked Sarge during the GXG, I was like, I wonder what Embracer, what they lost a $2 billion deal. And I said I thought maybe it was Marvel, right? Maybe they had a $2 billion deal just dropped from Marvel, but apparently that's not it. So reporter Embracer $2 billion deal that blew up was with Saudi Arabia. Now the publisher behind Dead Island 2 is closing studios after losing the money. So Embracer Group, the Swedish holding company, has been buying up everything from Borderland maker Gearbox Entertainment to the rights to Lord of the Rings, and saw a stock plummet earlier this year when a mystery $2 billion collapse at the last minute. Now, Axios now reports that the partner who walked away from Microsoft or Sony, it was a Savvy Games group backed by a controversial Saudi Arabia public investment fund, PIF, led by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salam. Okay, late last night, we were informed that one major strategic partnership has been negotiated for 7 months, will not materialize. Embracer CEO Lars Wingsford told investors on May 24th quarterly earnings press release, he added that if the deal had ended up going through, it would have set the benchmark for gaming industry. Okay. But Wingsford's never named the company that walked away with a $2 billion verbal agreement. Now, the size that left only a few likely players include Microsoft and Sony, which have been locked in a race secures exclusives for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Now, the U.S. tech giant like Netflix and Amazon, as well as Chinese conglomerate NetEase and Tencent, were also possibilities. According to the four sources who spoke to Axios, as well as documentation reviewed, it was actually a Saudi Arabian public investment fund, gaming subsidiary Savvy Games Group, that backed out, led by CEO Brian Ward. A longtime gaming industry exec who worked for both Activision Blizzard and Electronic Arts, Savvy Games Group has been vocal about the aspiration to turn Saudi Arabia into the new gaming hub with studios on ground building the next generation of big hits. It's still unclear why Savvy eventually walked away from the deal. Now, Embracer had already received a $1 billion investment from the Public Investment Fund last year, and with another big game company like Electronic Arts and Nintendo have all drawn criticism for accepting investments from Saudi investment funds because the country established track records of human rights abuse. Now, it's unclear if Embracer's failure to close the deal was complicated by ethical concerns or logical issues, but Embracer Group and Savvy Games Group did not immediately respond to requests for comment. So there you go. So a Saudi Arabian prince backed out of a $2 billion deal that Embracer says would have changed the gaming landscape or changed the industry forever. So interesting to see. I thought it was a bigger deal. A lot of people thought it was Microsoft or Sony, just some independent developer or independent buyer or investor that screwed them over. So much so that they now are closing studios because of the $2 billion deal that didn't go through. So, that's just what business is, right? So, unfortunate for Embracer Group and the studios that they're closing down. Let's look at Chainsaw Massacre game review. Who has a good review here? Let's see. SuperCal, IGN. We can see IGN and see what they say. Ledge, Podcast Now. Game Bolt. Is there a person? Let's see. We'll go with this. We'll go with IGN just to see what they say. I don't really take them for face value, but we'll watch it and see what they say. Oh, hold on one second. You guys can't hear. Hold on one second.
Perhaps as an ode to the horror movie genre itself, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre starts out with all the same joy and promise of a group of friends preparing for a weekend at a cabin in the woods, before things quickly take a turn for the worse. While I definitely enjoyed plenty of my 20 hours with this novel take on the asymmetrical multiplayer genre, where 3 powerful murderers hunt down a team of 4 elusive teens, getting started wasn't as smooth as it is in similar games, and there's less to do than expected once you're up and running. Between that and some seriously frustrating technical issues, there was definitely a chloroform doused wet blanket over the whole thing.
This is on Game Pass.
If you've played any asymmetrical horror game, be that Dead by Daylight or Friday the 13th, Evil Dead, or Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, among others, then you've already got a pretty good idea how developer Gun Interactive's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre works. It's similar to the point where it feels extremely familiar at first, right down to borrowed ideas like QuickTime events and minigames to do things like turn on generators and pick locks, and
FYI, this guy got bored after 2 hours.
hiding from baddies who can't be killed.
Oh, you ain't getting away. I'm keeping you.
But it also includes some important distinctions that help separate it from its peers. The biggest of which is that instead of a group of survivors running from one psychopath, there's a whole team of psychopaths working together to entrap and eliminate their high school age quarry. It's still lopsided at 3 killers versus 4 victims, but that adjustment has pretty substantial effects on the asymmetrical horror recipe, since now both sides require communication and teamwork to achieve victory. I know I always feel a little guilty when my overpowered monster kills off a whole team all by myself, but here I enjoy sharing the task with friends.
What are you supposed to do there? Like, hold on a second. What are you supposed to do there? That one killer's on one side. He's squeezing through a God of War like load screen over here, and the other killer's on the other side. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Sharing the task with friends.
Accept your fate. Like, just at that point, it's just like, I'm just done. Done. Can you punch? Can you kick? Can you do anything?
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre makes things a lot more balanced by making the family of killers only marginally more powerful than the teams they're hunting, as well as being slightly outnumbered by them. The bad guys are still unkillable and will absolutely wail on their targets in open conflict, but without all that raw power concentrated into one monster, cooperation is required to pull off a win no matter which team you're playing for, and that makes things a lot more interesting.
I'll find it.
Okay, I've only seen 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Okay, we're going to watch the rest of this video, but I can already tell the 3 versus 4 is like unbalanced big time. One, because the killers can't die, right? And you can, so you're constantly running. I guess there's probably traps and stuff that you can stop them from getting you, and you have to like get to a certain point to escape. But man, will this be really, really fucking boring in a couple of hours. It might be fun if we have a group of people playing and like play through it, and it would be fun with a group of people. But if you're playing with just just random people, it'll be fun for very, very few minutes.
Don't you worry about that.
Each member of the murder-loving family has modest but useful abilities, like Johnny's power to track footprints in a handy detective vision mode, or the hitchhiker's ability to place traps that leave survivors frozen in place. Victims in turn
Great, you can put traps.
Have some pretty substantial and interesting ways to fight back or speed along their escape, like how Leland can use his jock body and tiny brain to shoulder charge his pursuers, stunning them for a good while. The victims can also do cool things like sneak attack the psychopaths with a makeshift bone knife, or burst out of a hiding place to
Okay, great, you have a weapon, but you can't kill them, right?
stun them for a time, or even grapple their attackers in a quick-time button-spamming contest to fend them off for a bit. Even with those good ideas working in its favor, though, a lot of wind is taken out of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre by some pretty egregious technical issues that everyone I played with experienced every single match. The biggest one is that anytime a victim and a member of the family get into close proximity, and especially when they engage in combat with one another, the frame rate takes a nosedive for everybody in the match. It's not unplayable, but the most tense moments are frustrating to play since you might lose track of someone you're chasing due to massive frame hitching, or
The point of the game is to strategize and escape, not to kill the killer. Now, I understand not to kill them, but like, can you hurt them in any way, shape, or form? The stun, you can stun them, and you can get a knife in your hand, you can stab them to stun them, but it seems very OP 3 versus 4, Kylo. You know what I'm saying? Like, Friday the 13th was charming because it was 1 versus 4. This is 3 versus 4. You know what I mean? Or is it 1 versus 5 or 1 versus 4?
or even if
And the timer, there was like a timer, you know what I mean?
you do kill someone, you don't get to enjoy your victory to the fullest because
Was it 1 versus 8 in Friday the 13th? Even better, you know what I mean? And that felt good.
kill animation is choppy. Beyond that, there's also mid-game disconnects that'll ruin your match, and some weird issues when trying to gather a party together. I even had one match where my character just became frozen in place indefinitely, forcing me to back out of the session with no option to rejoin. It's always hard to say how painful issues like these will be in the days and weeks after launch, but even with the much smaller player pools during the review period, where I knew everybody was playing on good PCs with reliable connections, it was almost always an unstable experience, and that doesn't seem like a good sign. The good news is that, even with Rocky...
I would have just taken the same formula of this game and made it Friday the 13th. But now that you have the license of the Chainsaw Massacre or whatever, and just make it 1 versus 5 or 1 versus 7.
Key technical performance putting a damper on things, each match has a compelling back and forth. The family definitely has the more engaging set of objectives, since they're not only hunting the survivors, but setting traps and adding additional obstacles to the mix, like turning on generators that activate electrical barriers that then have to be turned off by the victims. But they also spend their time leveling up their patriarch, Grandpa, who drinks blood you collect from victims and find in the environment, and as he gains in power, it becomes increasingly easier to detect where the remaining survivors are in the process. Naturally, setting the perfect trap for your prey and then slowly closing in for the kill is a thrill.
Sorry, I don't even think it makes it to October. No, I haven't seen the new stuff. I haven't seen the new movies. I've watched the original stuff. Salty.
Especially when my traps forced someone to jump out of a window in desperation, killing themselves on my behalf. Moments like that allowed me to embrace my inner sadist and put a smile on my face. Victims, on the other hand, mostly rely on stealth to complete their pretty boring objectives, all of which are permutations of the same thing. Open a door somewhere so you can leave. Sometimes that's as easy as finding a few lockpicks and opening a couple doors to leave, especially if your pursuers are doing a bad job of herding you away from it. But there are a few slightly more complicated options.
Right, Big T? Like, how do you have the same issues with the game? This is the same issues they had with Friday the 13th when the Friday the 13th launched.
Like using one exit that opens on a timer when you fix a pressure valve, and another that opens up a tunnel exit when you solve a simple circuitry puzzle at a fuse box. Thankfully, despite the uncreative errands you have to complete to escape, it's still undoubtedly a good time cooperating with your fellow victims and narrowly avoiding detection, or better yet, making it out of the final exit by the skin of your teeth with all 3 murderers hot on your heels.
I can make it.
Yeah, the leveling process
With such
here.
a good baseline, it's pretty disappointing that there are only 3 maps and a single game mode to choose from.
This is a full price
each with only
game,
the most
boss, but
minor
yes, it is on Game
permutations
Pass.
From match to match. The gas station, the family house, and the slaughterhouse are all varied and well-designed maps in terms of layout, but they bizarrely all have the same set of 4 exits in the same general
Sorry, it's a
places
$40 game. I don't think it's full
to
price.
escape through
I think it's
and family
$40.
to guard. Once you've played a level once or twice, All the novelty of emerging from the basement to an unfamiliar area that you then need to escape is lost, and it's super weird that there isn't any special way for me to escape each one. You're telling me that both of these places all have exactly one pressure-released exit and one tunnel exit with a broken fuse box? That just feels like it was copied and pasted. It's also pretty odd that there's no real tutorial or single player with bots mode to be found, leaving little recourse for those learning the ropes or trying to sharpen their skills. The only way to learn the rules without playing is by watching an extensive library of extremely dry videos, only a couple of which even bother with voiceover explanations. Since most people probably won't have the stomach for that and will jump right into playing matches, you're likely to encounter lots of players who don't know what they're doing, which can be an extremely
I'm not sure if it's crossplay
frustrating experience when they're on your team. And they're not even that satisfying to kill. I have little doubt that in a year or two, when they've added more scenarios and maps, fixed the most pressing...
I hate that he just said that. I hate that he just said that. Let me rewind it. Let me rewind that for a second. I hate that outlets like this say, like we say it, right? But I hate when they say it and it's like a pass by, like it'll be good in, like I tell you, I'm like, it'll be fucking good in 8-12 months. Like I'm pissed about that. They say it. Okay. Oh, I forgot to change the thing up on top. Fuck. Hold on one second. Let me just shut that down. They say it like, just push to the side. Don't worry about it. It'll be good in like 2 years from now.
Little doubt that in a year or two, when they've added more scenarios and maps, fixed the most pressing technical issues, and maybe thought up a better way for newcomers...
No, it should be complete at launch. Make a game, sell a game.
To learn how to play, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre will become a staple in my growing asymmetrical horror games library. For now, however, my recommendation comes with a lot of caveats. While the less lopsided take on the asymmetrical horror format definitely works, the shallow number of samey maps can get monotonous pretty quickly, and even with a fair number of playable characters and a...
Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, man. What's the difference if it's early access, alpha, beta, preview, right? Founders pack, whatever. What is the difference if the game is unfinished when it launches? And yet we just keep supporting game companies like this.
A solid progression system, I found myself way too comfortable with the 3 scenarios after just a few hours. Still, the potential behind this format and the reverence for the beloved horror classic it's based on is clear, even when it does feel a tad half-baked coming out of the gates. For more, check out our reviews of Atlas.
Well, I don't think they're promoting, Sarge. I don't think he's promoting a game like this. It's a review. That's their job. They play the game. They're telling you that these are the problems with the game, and you make the choice if you want to. It's not like he's hyping it up and saying, like, oh, man. It's not like he's Boss's friend saying that this is game of the year.
Fallen and Exoprimal.
It's just it's a sad state, man. It's a sad state. Right, Travis, there isn't a difference. There is no difference in between alpha, beta, early access, preview program, nothing. There's no difference. The only difference is you're not paying full price if it's an alpha, beta, early access, but it doesn't matter anymore because now they can release a game for money if it's 30, 40, whatever dollars, okay? Now I want to know, is this full price? Full price, is it 30 or 40? It's $35.99 on Steam. $35.99 right now. It's $40. $39.99, but right now it's a 10% discount for a pre-order purchase for Texas Chainsaw Massacre before the 18th. Your friend might need some help. Yeah. Look, it's okay if you like a bad game. It is. It's okay you like a bad game. As long as you know that you can't go around saying this is game of the year. That looked terrible. But at the same time, if you are a horror fan, if you like Dead by Daylight, if you like these type of games, then this is just another one of those games you can put in your, right? I think that Ghostbusters looks much, much better than this. Okay? Now, that's not a horror thing, but it's the same type of thing where a ghost goes against the Ghostbusters. Okay? I think this whole dynamic that they have going on here is terrible. Now, is it not going to be fun to watch someone play this? I think if you're watching your favorite YouTuber or streamer or content creator with other content creators and you get to watch from each other's aspects and they're having fun, then sure, you could have fun by watching someone play this game, but I don't think the game itself is like extruding like, oh man, this is fun. This doesn't look fun at all. You can say it, but everyone will laugh at you. As long as you know, Travis, that if you like a game, like I like Marvel's Avengers, I like Gotham Knights, right? I enjoy those games, but I also know those aren't great games. As of today, The Witch Queen is on PlayStation Plus. Used to be on Game Pass. Bungie gets bought, and Sony now puts it out free on PlayStation. Well, I said they would do that, Stealth. Of course they would. Of course they would. Right? But you won't hear people complain about that. Right? You won't hear people complain about that. It's fun to watch for maybe an hour, but to play it for more than 3 hours is torture. I think, I truly believe, Water, is like if we played it, right? Obviously, I don't want anyone buying this, but if we played it on Game Pass, anyone that has Game Pass and wants to play, and we get a group of 7 people together to play the game, and we get on voice chat and we're having fun, that would be completely different than just playing the game by myself, going in with randos, playing the game. Completely two different experiences. Oh, Big T for sure. You can have fun with a flawed game. That's not the issue. %, 76. 100%. This would be a blast for like a stream. Like if I'm on stream and you guys are playing with me and we're having a member party or whatever, it would be a blast to play with a group of people that you know. But playing by yourself and going into a thing, not talking, not communicating, just playing the game, it'd be awful. It'd be awful. Man, that's a shame. Did you guys hear about Wayfinder? It needs communication. I was in the tech test, so I bet, Salty. The best part about Friday the 13th was communicating with your buddies on the walkie-talkies and stuff. Right? You need that. You need that. What's going on, Barry? Right? Friday the 13th to me was a really fun game. I thought the balance of it was great. I thought just overall, I thought Friday, but then they got dicked over. They got dicked over by the license of Friday the 13th. I think you had it. I mean, Freddy Krueger would be another good one to do. Oh, Killer Clowns! I remember commenting on that, Dave, when they said it was 3. Is it 3 versus 4? The same as Chainsaw Massacre? I said, I don't know about the 3. The 3, it just seems like overbalanced for the killers. So, Salty, when you played Chainsaw Massacre, Did it feel? Did you win more games as the killers than you did as the victims? I'm sure it's satisfying if you're the victims and you escape. Yeah, so Wayfinder. Someone asked me last night about Wayfinder if we're playing Wayfinder, and I said I'm gonna wait because I don't know about it. Like, I enjoyed it, but I don't know about launch. I said I think they're gonna have problems at launch and whatnot, and then and then sure enough, while we were streaming last night, Stealth comes in and says that it got delayed by 2 days or whatnot. Hold on, let me see if I have it. Yeah, it got delayed by 2 days because of issues. They had like crashing issues or errors, so they postponed it on PC and PlayStation. PC will be up on the 17th. Today's the 15th. And then PlayStation to follow, but they didn't say the date. Downloaded Chainsaw Massacre on Game Pass a few weeks ago. Is it out yet? It comes out the 18th. It comes out Friday. Is it indefinitely, Stealth? PlayStation 5 version is delayed indefinitely? Oh, man. A 1v4 or 1v6 horror game could be amazing if you spend actual time developing the actual game instead of just pumping out whatever slapping nostalgia title on it. No release date now. That's bad. Might hit Game Pass. Well, it won't hit Game Pass because it's a free-to-play game anyway, so it's just going to be on consoles, but it's not going to be under Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. It's just a free-to-play game. It'll be underneath the same categories as Apex Legends and Fortnite. I know you're joking, but some people will look at that and go, well, maybe it is going to Game Pass. Question, are we allowed to say I told you so when you're on stream crying about how terrible Reactivate is, or no? What do you mean by that, Travis? Did I say that Reactivate's going to be like the next greatest game of all time with no issues? No, if you've actually paid attention, I said I'm worried about Reactive being like the other games. But I also said that I would also be a double standard and a hypocrite because I said that because I like Transformers, I will turn a blind eye to it, because I said if a game is like Destiny, but with Transformers, Marvel, or Star Wars, I would still play the game to this day. But because I'm not interested in Destiny, I don't like Destiny. If the game comes out just like Wayfinder, but it's Transformers and not Warframe or Wayfinder, I would like it more because I'm interested in what Transformers is. Both Family and Victims, 30. I played in tech tests. Chainsaw Massacre game. It seems that Victims were pretty rough surviving. It goes hand in hand. Shouldn't matches. It seems like the Victims. It seems like it would be a hard win. But at the same time, when you win, it would feel really good. But I feel like that would be. So how is the leveling process in Chainsaw Massacre? Obviously, do you get XP the longer you survive? So if you survive 5 minutes, you get let's say 1,000 points a minute or something. You get 5,000 points, and then if you die within 1 minute, you get 1,000 points. So if you suck at the game, you don't get that many points. But as the killers, you get less XP, but you get more XP if you kill somebody. Like, how does that work? So like if I play 5 hours or 10 hours of that game, are my killers going to be higher level than my victims? Or the victims are going to be higher level than the killers? It's on their website, Metagame. Man, I love this channel. Yet another game where we put more time in talking about, because I love video games. Do you see how I just found out about Chainsaw Massacre? We looked at the review, and I'm already asking how the leveling process works, right? Because that's how my brain works, right? Like if I'm playing by myself, is it random what side you get to pick, or can you pick killers versus, right? Like these are things I ask. Because imagine having a conversation. Oh, what's happening here? Audio stream's current bit rate. Recommended. I don't know why that's happening. Okay. Everspace 2 hits Game Pass today. Yeah. That's why I read the article today. I knew it came out today. But I was just, the reason I brought it up is because we always talk about how Game Pass games, are they good or bad? And they said Everspace 2 was good because of Game Pass. But then I take the same first party title of their own, Microsoft, and put Forza Motorsports is better because of Game Pass, but yet it's missing features. So is it? I mean, I might check it out because Game Pass, right? Because of Game Pass. Dragon Ball Breakers gives an opt-out option for those who just wanted to be a survivor. It should really be an option across the genre. Oh, what type of game is Dragon Ball Breakers? Abu. So you have to think way to do as victims play safe and stealthy, not getting spotted by family members. Right. No, that's what I'm saying, Jesse. Like, I know how you're going to, like, you don't want to be spotted. You want to last as long as possible. So my question is, how do they score your XP? Is it based on time and time alone? Or is it like, I put a trap down, the victim hits the trap, I get 200 points. I push a guy, I get 100 points. Like, do I have to interact with the bad guy to get points, or do I get points by just surviving? I'm there regardless of what people say. It's what I like since Friday the 13th. Yeah, Salty, if you like a game, no one's gonna try to talk you out of a game, right? If you like a game, you like a game. Unknown, as nobody's insane enough to have finished the match. I can't think of the name of the genre, but there's a one killer and about 7 or 8 survivors, and generally running away is how they survive. Cyber wins. No, I understand how you win the game. I've played games like Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th. I'm asking specifically in Chainsaw Massacre, the survivor, do you get XP? Like if I load up the game and I play as a survivor, within the half hour or 5 hours, if I play the survivors and I play the killers, which one of them is going to level up faster? They just are. In the beginning, one's going to level up faster, right? If it's unbalanced and killers win more than survivors, then as a survivor, you're going to get less XP as you go, right? Those are facts. Otherwise, if it doesn't matter and it's just a blanket, if it's just a blanket, every game you get a certain amount, winner/loser, then obviously it's different. But I would assume that you're leveling up to get perks and different things and different skills, that you're going to level up faster than others, right? In Friday the 13th, Jason leveled up slower because it was random who wanted to be the killer, right? So there'll be times that it would be like 7 matches before you even became the killer. Other times you would be the killer 4 times in a row. But on average, Jason was the slower of the group to get leveled up. Dave Rose says, yeah, even though I love Chainsaw Massacre, I would get old fast, just like the Evil Dead. For so many, sadly. See, Evil Dead came and went. Like, it was like a blip. It was like a speed bump going at 90 miles an hour. There's so many games, even Ghostbusters, which I showed interest in when it came out, but then I was just like, yeah, I don't have people to play with, so I didn't pick it up. Because if you don't have a group of people to play with, then there's no reason to pick up a game like that. These are party games. That's what these type of games are. Right? Even if you don't know all 7 people, if you have 2 or 3 friends and you're all playing together, it's a better time. You can pick your side, and you have 5 loadouts per character. They want you to experiment. You can't get everything in the perk tree ever. But you have to get enough XP, Salty, to unlock those perks, or do you have all those perks unlocked in the very beginning? I don't think the Ghostbusters has crossplay. I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's go to their game real fast. Do they have any information? Chainsaw Massacre. Let's see. Home, interactive, shop. They don't really tell you. They don't really tell you much on the site. It's very bare minimum. Okay. Family and abilities, attributes explained. Let's see if let's see here. We covered the victims in great detail. Now it's time to sit down in the family and get to know them. Okay, let's see. Directly affects the amount of damage you deal with melee, harvesting, endurance, cook, seek, bane. These are the perks. The cook, sis, the hitchhiker, Johnny, Leatherface. No, that's no. Few abilities. Okay, so you have a skill tree. All players' abilities can be further tweaked and tuned in breakout sections of the metagame. Skill trees players can open up ability panels from within main skill tree and add and earn points to either speed up the cooldown timings, buff ability effects, or change parameters, abilities, and how the functions. All will be detailed in further hub posts. But they haven't yet, huh? In the menu of Chainsaw Massacre, the game, there's 2 options: to play as a family or play as victims. Okay, so you can at least focus on one side, and then it would match make you into the game, and then you could focus on leveling up your killers or victims. You have to unlock the perk tree once they respect whenever you change your build, and then you gain attribute points along the way to add your stats. Okay. They did extreme how it works on Twitch. Well, they have. That's the trailer. Same thing. That's the trailer, exclusive, making of it. Capturing the sound. That's all right. I might try it. I might try it because it's on Game Pass, but probably not. Probably not. Excuse me. Very little info, though, considering. Very little info, and they're not really like advertising a lot of it. I mean, if you're a horror fan or if you like those types of party games, I can see the appeal, Soups. Like the Evil Dead game. What is that? Is that like a 1v5? Or is that also like, because I never played that either. I totally forgot it came out. When did that game release? May 13th, 2022. Holy Christ. I totally forgot that game even came out. Ghostbusters came out in October, I think. Yeah, it came out in October 2022. 1v4. Those games, man, it doesn't matter what game it is or what you put it on, right? Like Evolve, like those type of games they just don't make it. Now, I don't know what the price of those type of games are to like develop, like how fast you can develop these games and put them out. Like I'm sure they're like, I don't know, 10 mil, 20 mil. I don't know. I don't know what it would be, but they can't be $100 million games because they're nowhere coming close to the game sales. Let me see. Spirits Unleashed. Ghostbusters Remastered. We have a no stats. No stats. I played 4 hours of it and I was done with it. Oh, Evil Dead? It's called Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. It's the same type of game as Evil Dead, as Chainsaw Massacre, as Friday the 13th. And that's what I'm saying, boss. Like I wonder what a game like that has to sell to make it. Now, I'm gonna ask Salty and Jesse. You guys played it. I don't know who else played it. Does the Chainsaw Massacre have any microtransactions in the game, or is it just straight up $30? I like Eddie. Yeah, Eddie played it for 6 hours later, and he was like done with it. They struggle because they have to please both sides. One cries louder than the other. Things shift. People just leave. True. No microtransactions, just straight up $40. Now, see, now let's go back to the conversation we had in the very beginning, right? With Everspace 2. Everspace 2 says they made it because of Game Pass. Right? They made it because of Game Pass. Right? The heading of the very first story we had, everyone gets better game because of Xbox Game Pass. Now, Chainsaw Massacre, in my example, okay, they probably got a nice chunk of change up front from Microsoft to go on Game Pass. So because of this, they made the money that they thought they were gonna make based on the sales of people that were gonna do, right? So everything else would kind of be like a bonus on top of that. You see what I'm saying? So let's say the game cost them, and again, I'm just throwing a generic number out there. Let's say it cost them $20 million to make this game. And it was in production for 14 months or 15 months or whatever it was. And it cost them $20 million. And now Microsoft paid them 10 or 15 million of their 20 million budget, and now they only have to sell a certain amount to make their money back. You see what I'm saying? Does that make a better game, especially since the reviewers are saying that it could take 1 to 2 years to become a good game? That was unfinished. Big surprise. They would probably be better in a few months. That to me, again, I'll bring this up. Insert game here. Okay, insert game here. Right? Chainsaw Massacre. Everyone gets a better game because of Game Pass. Do you? Bit of a difficult question. Quite a few factors to consider. Let's talk about it. Right? I'm not saying that Game Pass is bad for every game. But if a game comes out and it's unfinished, buggy, glitchy, and it's on Game Pass day one, it's bad for Game Pass. It's bad for gamers. It's bad for developers. Because first impressions are everything. Makes it worse because honestly, the game probably took under 100,000, 200,000 to make. Game Pass probably game them 80,000. So I say it might need 100,000. I'm not sure how many people. What's the game studio called? Gun Interactive? Let's see. They have 12 employees. 12. So, 12 employees. How long did it take to make the game? They're the size of Hello Games, right? So, question is that should be asked is who's deciding the deadline? Well, the investors, right? So, there's twofold here. If the investors, which I'm trying to see if anybody else was part of this. Hold on, let me see. Texas Chainsaw Massacre developer, Sumo Digital. Okay. So Sumo Digital is the parent organization, Foundation 9 Entertainment. Okay. Gun is the creator, right? And Sumo Digital is the publisher. Is that who published it? It looks like that's who published it. No, that's the developer. Gun Media is the publisher. Gun Media is the publisher. Sumo is the developer. That's what I'm getting. Okay, so apparently Sumo Digital has 1,200 people. 1,200 people. Other way around. It's the other way around. Sumo is the developer. Gun is the publisher. Like Gun was the publisher, and Infinite, who made Friday the 13th, the new Ghostbusters, was the devs. Okay, so 1,200 people to make Chainsaw Massacre. All right, let me see. I don't know if we'll get this, but let's see. Chainsaw Massacre. What was the budget for Chainsaw Massacre? There's many new games starting at $60. $70. The Chainsaw Massacre is going to be opposite direction. Gun Media revealed. Let's see. Do they say what the cost was? $40. They don't say what the budget was. I wonder if there's any. Okay, well, it costs less than. Okay. Here's something from July 7th, 2023. The original Chainsaw Massacre was directed and released in October. While it costs less than. Oh, that's for the movie. That's for the movie. I would really like to know what the budget was, like a budget around for what this game is. If the company's responsibility is to make the game ready by the agreed upon timeline, no matter if they have work double 7 days a week. And I agree with that, boss. So my point was, if Sumo is making the game and Gun is the ones that goes out and publishes it and says, all right, we're giving you this money up front. So if they gave them $5 million to make the game, then and they say, okay, $5 million investment, whatever it is, how fast do you think you could do it? We could do it in 15 months. Okay, they're like, great. So 15 months, they go around, they shop, they try to put it into certain consoles and certain things, and that's what they do. Now, going to Microsoft, and Microsoft says, hey, we'll give you a certain amount of money, and they look at that $10 million and say, okay, well, we're expecting to sell Chainsaw Massacre, popular IP, Friday the 13th, we had this many players. We're looking to get this much money back, right? Less than 10 million. What? Just my example, Salt, right? So going to Microsoft, they're like, okay, we're expecting to sell 400,000 copies, right? 400,000 copies, which is going to be really low because let me do some math real fast. Oh, it's $40, right? Yeah. Okay. So would be $16 million, right? So if they let's say the budget was $10 million, they want to make enough money back on the thing. 1,200 people at the studio, Sarge. But we don't know if all 1,200 people are working on the game, right? But there's 1,200 people at the studio. So let's just say it was 10 million to make, and then they go out and say we want to sell at least, to make their money back of the 10 million, they would need to sell like 300,000 copies or so, and that would still make about $20 million or $2 million over, right? So now they're making 16 million more if they sell 400,000 copies. So to make their money back, they're like, oh, okay, we need to sell this many copies. They tell Microsoft. Microsoft's like, all right, we'll put that in Game Pass. We have 25 million people playing the game. You only want to sell 250,000 copies. There you go. And boom. Now the studio is successful because not only did they make their money back already on the game, they don't have to worry about how many they sell. They don't have to worry about anything like that. They make their money right up, make their money, a little bit of profit, and they can now go make their next game. It gives Microsoft something else to put on Game Pass, which then, inflates what Game Pass is worth, because for $10 now there's other games out there. Day and date, day one, people come out, I'll try it, whatever. It's a win-win for us gamers because you get to try a game, you're not paying full price for it. It's a win for the developer because they made their money back before the game even came out. So it works out well for that. What it doesn't work out well is if the game is broken, buggy, like the review said, and it's only one review, so I'm only taking it from that. If it's glitchy, buggy, not working well, they say it'll be better in 1 to 2 years, then that really hurts what Game Pass is doing because it's working against what they're saying. Because now, if it takes 1 to 2 years to come back, then you pay the money, but you're not paying the money. That game is broken, buggy on day one on Game Pass, and that's just to get another game that's not complete on Game Pass. It brings the value of what Game Pass is down. The problem with these companies is they take the investors' money and go about the business as usual, and then the deadline of the product is flawless. Great. If not, oh well, eventually they get there. Like if the company you turn into the correct worker and they point you should do whatever it takes to get the game out and agreed a time is good, and the possibility can get of your abilities. Right. You see what I'm saying? So it works out for them because if they make their money, if I make a game right now, right, like every day, if I could come on and go live every single day and know that I'm making this amount of money regardless if I go live or if I don't go live, then there's really no reason for me to get motivation to go live, right? But every day is a different thing, right? I gotta go live. I gotta be entertaining. I gotta have good conversations, and if people want to, right, tune into my videos, then they sub or hit the like, or I get ad revenue, or people give me memberships, right? But I have to show up. If I didn't have to show up and I was just getting a paycheck, then what's the point of me? I'd just be like, hey guys, what are we doing? I'm just going to sit here and drink water. You know what I mean? It doesn't reflect well on Game Pass and Xbox, but the responsibilities, I believe, is on the company who accepted those terms. At a point, right? Because if Microsoft sets the bar where they'll accept games that are incomplete and put them on Game Pass day one, which we know they do because their first party title Redfall came out and it wasn't even complete, right? To me, it comes off as the companies get the money and they beat the game to games of life. They got the money, and now they just have to try to get the investors their money back. Right. Which they basically do, in the most part, you would think, right? Right, because everything else is bonus, right? Boss, because if Microsoft, again, maybe they don't pay the full price of money up front. Maybe they only give them 40 or 50%. Right? So now they don't have to sell 250,000 copies. Now they only have to sell 125,000 copies at $40. Right? And then when it goes on PlayStation or goes on PC, they're making their money on top of there as well, right? That's what I'm saying, right? So if they only make 40%, 60%, and then make the other ones from, you know, and it's a straight up game, so you're not paying for microtransactions, which is bravo to them, right? You made a game, right, and now you're selling a game. But the problem is you made a game that a year and a half from now, a year to 2 years, might be better off if it just stayed in. But if they did that, then they have to put more money into it, and then they don't know if they're going to make their money back. But now they know if they release the game early access, alpha, beta, gold, doesn't matter, right? And they release it early and they can fix it over time. They make their money up front. And then it's sort of like most people get bored and move on. They don't care. And the rest of the people that still play the game is such a minute population now, they can just fix it later. And then people are like, oh, it's a much better game now. I think most developers started as people who cared, then get anywhere. They had to sell their souls, and now they can't get them back. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I know there's a lot of people in the industry, but this goes for any industry, right? Like if all of a sudden a T-shirt, if the Super Bowl goes off and the actual NFL sells T-shirts, other people are just popping up T-shirts so they can make it, right? To make money off of it. But there's still people that are, like, there's still people in that business, and there's other people that come into that business to try to make money off people, right? I do believe the video game space, just like the movie industry, right, is or musicians. They strike when the iron's hot. Game companies are like, there's a lot of people paying money for video games. We can make a small little video game, right? This is my conversation a couple months ago with the Unreal Engine 5, that people just pump out games with Unreal Engine 5. They won't be complete games, but they'll get their money up front. They take advantage, and they make their money. That's a good analogy, boss, right? The difference between mom's cooking and a local diner, the love and emotion put into the soul. Yeah, right? Like, you have a good home cooked meal. That's fantastic. Like the pride that a mom or dad takes to make the food. They want to make it delicious for their family, right? They're not getting paid for that, but they want to make a good, because you advertise it. You're like, oh man, my mom makes the best, whatever. It's interesting. Indies mostly have pride, but they get big and it goes bye-bye. Well, I think at sometimes certain companies they bite off more than they can chew, though, Travis. Look at No Man's Sky. PlayStation, I know you guys don't think PlayStation doesn't do anything wrong, but No Man's Sky had problems because of PlayStation. They forced Hello Games to push that game out way before it was done because they had money invested in that game. And not until after it launched, and they made so much money off that game that was broke, buggy, unfinished. Okay? So much so that they never have to... We read an article months ago that's saying they made so much money off the No Man's Sky sales, okay, that they have given everything away for free, right? All updates to No Man's Sky, they could do another 10 years of free content before they have to start charging based on the amount of sales they sold. I do wonder if some devs or higher-ups end up with the same thing that the creators of No Man's Sky had, where the scope extends well beyond both capability and budget. Oh, for sure. I guarantee you. $100%, right? Because some people they're like, how much money do you want? Right? And they're like, yeah, we'll take this much money. And they get into that in their headspace, like they can't do anything wrong. We made our money. We're rich now, right? Look at Epic. Epic was a company that made really good games for years. Not until they got Fortnite with the Battle Royale. They spent 7 or almost 8 years making Fortnite, the single-player game, and it bombed. It bombed. And then PUBG was blowing up, and they said, well, they're using our engine. Why don't we just steal that from PUBG and they made Fortnite Battle Royale. And then Epic's life, Tim Sweeney's life completely changed because he went from making good money off these games and struggling to making so much money he can do whatever the fuck he wants now. Okay, and buys up other industries now, right? That's the difference, right? All people that have businesses are not trying to become super uber rich, right? Some people just want to make games because that's what they want to do. And if they make money doing what they love, bonus. But other people look at it and go, I can make anything I want now. And they become like this super uber powerful person and they can do whatever they want because they're just making trillions of dollars. Like Sean Murray and Hello Games, they don't have to make anything else, but they have, right? But they made so much money off of No Man's Sky, they don't have to do anything else, but they choose to because their name was so tarnished when it came out that they've worked their asses off since that point to make No Man's Sky a much better game than it was when it came out. And they haven't charged 1 cent more. It's the same price, and there's so much more content on top of what you bought. They do one showing once a week at a certain time all this month at the Cinemark near me. For what? No Man's Sky Perfect on Sony. Trying to think about the Gran Turismo movie. It comes out this weekend, doesn't it? Like I think it's coming out this weekend completely. We're going this week. Oh no, we're going next weekend. My son wants to see it for his birthday. It was like in small openings, and now I think this weekend or next weekend it comes out. I think it's gonna be a good film. My son likes it because he likes racing games, and he thinks it's really cool that someone became a professional racer because of it. CD Projekt Red sort of tarnished their image with Cyberpunk. I remember they also were held at a gold standard. Well, they also put their own foot in their mouth, right? They came out and made fun of Bethesda for releasing a game that was broken buggy, right? And they said that they would never release a game broken buggy, and yet they hid the lower end tier stuff, okay, to not show anybody. And then they released it and it was broken buggy, right? And that's their own fault. That was their own fault. They said they would not release a game, okay? And then they did. And I said to everybody, I said, do not get that game for the old systems. I said it 2 years in advance. Every time they showed something, I said, there's no way that's going to run on the last gen systems. Okay. And then when it came out to the new gen systems, now when they started making that game, it was supposed to run on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. But then they upped their game to make it run on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox and PC. Okay. And then when it came out, it completely just tarnished their name. And it's like, why? You knew it didn't run, but yet you forced it ahead of time but it doesn't matter because they made all their money on pre-orders. They made all their money on pre-orders. So it doesn't matter if the game was broke or buggy. They made all their money and more on day one. And that shows the rest of the industry, all you got to do is hype up your game and then get it out in day one. It doesn't matter if people don't like it or hate it, okay? Again, No Man's Sky launched. It made all its money, never has to work again. They had so much money that they could literally drop free content for No Man's Sky for the next 10 more years, 16 total, okay? Cyberpunk made all its money back day one. Doesn't matter if it's broke or buggy. Made its money back. All of it before it even launched, right? That shows people that you can make a game, make it look great, hype it up, release it, make your money back, and say, thank you. That's it. Doesn't matter if it's broke or buggy. And that is my issue. That is my issue with the industry. That is my issue with Game Pass, with games that come out for Game Pass, and they're incomplete. Travis says, I read a great article yesterday talking about how it's okay that the game to come out to be supported for a year, then they move on. Like, this is how gaming used to be before live service crap, right? But most games were just made, and it had to work, right? This is why free-to-play games, like, think about this. Free-to-play games, when they come out, are in better shape than games that are not free-to-play. Because $70 up front, it doesn't matter if it works or not, they got your money. Where a free-to-play game is, they're giving you the game for free, and they want you to play as much as possible, and they make it fun. Do I think Starfield will be incomplete? No, I don't think Starfield will be incomplete, but I do believe that Starfield will be just as buggy as every other Bethesda game that's come out before Fallout 76, right? I think it'll be like Skyrim. I think it'll be like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, Morrowind and Oblivion, right? Where you get like weird textures and pop-ins and you fall through the map and your stuff. That stuff will be there. That's always been in all Bethesda games. I think it'll be there just like it was in CD Projekt Red's game of The Witcher. This is why they called it the Glitcher. Yes, thank you for coming to my my TED Talk. The extent that the issue is some customers, in all honesty, those who keep giving those games a free pass only further the distance on how far the bar will be pushed again. Right. And here's the blurred line, though. Game Pass is that blurred line, right? Game Pass is that blurred line because let's say Starfield does come out in a state like Cyberpunk, okay? There's going to be more people that play it on Game Pass than people buy it. I think it'll sell 2 to 3 million copies across the consoles between Xbox S, X, and PC, okay? Everybody else is going to play it or try it on Game Pass. If the game comes out broken, buggy, there's only 2 million people that go, and in the bigger scheme of things, 2 million people out of a potential 300 million people on all consoles or console gamers, or the, what is it? It's only, correct me if I'm wrong, is Starfield only on the next-gen consoles and PC, correct? It's not on the older systems. It's only on next-gen. So you only have, 21, 22 million people that have the next-gen systems, and then you have the people that are on PC, which is like 135 million people have PCs that play games, right? So potentially you have everybody that has an Xbox Series X and X could potentially try it, which is bigger than any game they've ever released before, right? Because people can try it, where people that were not even interested in it can try it now. And if it comes out broken, buggy, it doesn't look really that bad because it's just like, oh, it says on Game Pass. Only 3 million people bought it. Thirty now refers to now as Ted. I read that you could play Starfield on the one with cloud. Well, I guess you could also play on a television set, right? So that might be possible, Stoops, because you can play it on Samsung. You don't have a console. You're playing it from the cloud. And right, so Game Pass has polished games. It has bangers, and it does have downright train wrecks. But for $10, I mean, you can complain. But for $10, you could pick one. That's all you need is one game on Game Pass that's worth it. And they have that game, right? They have that Forza Horizon 5, which is a good game. It's a great game, right? That's worth the $10. But I say you have to have at least 3 games. 3 AAA games at full price on Game Pass. And you do have that. Okay, there's AAA games that are on Game Pass that are good games, right? Because $180 for the year for Game Pass if you just have Game Pass, right? If you have it on PC, it's like $240 because if you pay $16 or whatever it is, right? So you have to have at least the amount of games that, because the average person buys 3 games a year. Every time I hear a person say it'll get better eventually, I'm stuck taking Spaceballs, right? When will then be now? Soon. The one game I played for $10 a month on Xbox is Power Wash Sim, baby. You know, you make fun of it, Soups. I don't know if you are playing it or not, but it is a complete game. It is a complete game. You try two AAA games, and that's your yearly coverage. What Game Pass would cost? Yeah, that's it, right? So to honestly say it's not a good deal, I mean, if you play Elder Scrolls, even if you just play Elder Scrolls Online as your game, it's totally worth the $10 because you'll go out there and play other MMOs for more, $12, $15 a month. You can pay $10 a month and just play Elder Scrolls Online. And then if you decide that you want to play another game, you can play a different game, right? Right? So for $10, you get a full-fledged MMO, okay? For $10, you get a full-fledged car racing game, which is a really good car racing game. So you get two massive games. Two massive games. And then pick a third one out of the 150 or 200 games that are on there. You don't have to put a lot. You don't have to put a lot. A lot of older games are on there. And you better believe if they come back and once Activision goes through, I've said that they're going to have in Ultimate, they're going to have like World of Warcraft on there. I think they're going to take all their other Blizzard games and put them on there that are not free to play, by the way, like Overwatch, because it's already on the Xbox and PlayStation. But all their games that come out, they'll throw them on there. And then their old catalogs, they can just throw on the games because of Activision. 300 plus. I got bored one night. So they're even if you're a fan of the Transformers games, if they come back out with the Transformers but they're updated, that's worth it for at least 2 months. Because if you get it on used copy of it, it's $40. I don't know. All right, on today's show, we talked about Embracer Group with the $2 billion deal going south. We talked about Diablo 4 trading system not working. We talked about Game Pass is just better. It's just better for gaming because of Everspace 2, right? So we talked about a lot of stuff today. If you like this type of content, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern time. I do appreciate you guys coming out. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, you become a member as little as $5. We do streams, like I said, in the morning from 10 to 12. We also do streams in the evening. We're going to be continuing our story in Transformers, The Fall of Cybertron tonight. We played the first 4 chapters last night. We're going to play the next chapters, whatever that is, tonight for the next 2 hours or 3 hours. So come on tonight. We're playing some more Transformers. We're getting hyped up for Gamescom next week, which supposedly Reactivate is going to be there. Transformers Reactivate is going to have some sort of information, or the splash damage is going to be there. Maybe they'll have some information. Not sure. But we're taking a risk. We're playing the Transformers game leading up to Gamescom, so maybe to get some information from the Transformers Reactivate game coming at Gamescom. I do appreciate you very much coming out. I'll see you guys in the next one tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Peace.